What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Super Bowl Sunday, gonna get a quick session in. It's gonna be a huge day. I'm so excited for today. Really wanted to make a vlog because one, Super Bowl Sunday, it's a Sunday. I always play Sundays now. It's kind of like a thing for me. And big day, dude. Pats are here. Obviously, I'm from New England, so rooting for my Pats. Wearing the fakest jersey alive, as you can tell from that Pats like font. It's literally like Times New Roman font 12 or whatever. So that was kind of, I don't know, it's the fakest jersey you'll ever see, but it's fine. I'm on a college budget, it's whatever. But hopefully we're gonna run things up. It's gonna be a pretty quick session. It's 11 o'clock right now. I'm just gonna head up to MGM Springfield, play some 1-2. The game starts at 6:30, so I've got about 4.5 hours to play, maybe. Gonna get home and watch the game with the boys. So let's see what we can do. Maybe we can run things up in a short amount of time. It'll be a good time. So let's get into the video. So we go in to my table, I look around, and I don't see a single reg for Super Bowl Sunday, so that's always a pretty good sign. It seems like a pretty nice table, very actiony, so I'm going to look to get in the mix of it, so I buy in for the max $500, and I sit down. Very first interesting hand, we have pocket queens, 2 red queens in the low jack, and I open it up to $12, and we have the button and big blind make the call. So the flop comes King, 8 with 2 diamonds, and it's honestly not the worst flop in the world for me. So when it checks to me, I bet out $20, and they both end up making the call. So I don't know. I guess some people could be going for the flush draw or something like that. Who knows? But the turn is a 10 of diamonds, so the flush draw gets there. I have another opportunity to go for the flush draw. I'm also drawing to the second nut flush, so when it checks to me, I think it's a good spot to bet again. I cover both of them, and I bet $55. The button, who's a very short stack, he calls for less, and the big blind ends up coming along as well, which is pretty nice. The river is a 4 of diamonds, so I get there, which is kind of nice. The big blind checks. I'm putting him on like a king or something like that. I'm not really sure, but at least if you have a flush, I think I'll get max value. So I ended up jamming about 200 effective, and he quickly makes the fold. Big blind says he folded a king. Button shows King 10 for the full house there, so that's pretty cool. I guess good for him. I got there, so I won a small side pot, because he only had like literally maybe $10-15 left when he called that turn bet, so it's all right. I'll take that down there. The very next hand, we get into the mix of things real quick. I want to be very heavily involved on these very actiony tables, so we have 9-7 offsuit. Very next hand, we get 2 limpers to me. I'll limp. I'll throw it in there, and my direct left makes it $15. So the both limpers call, and I think I'm just kind of priced in to call the extra $13 there. Multi-way, hoping for a good flop. So I make the call as well. So we're 4 ways to the flop. Is decent of 8-8-6 rainbow. Early position, this woman ends up leading out for $20, and the guy on my right, he calls. I call as well, and we all call for $20. So super small bets, and we're all still 4 ways to a flop. Looking for a 5 or a 5 or a 10, and we get there. Turns a 5 of spades, which is phenomenal. There's 2 spades on the board now, but so there's still that flush draw intact, and I'm there with the straights. I'm really just afraid of 8-6, I guess, but it shouldn't be too likely. I think there's just not there's a slim amount of times where I'm behind a boat in this spot. So early position, who ended up leading out, she checks. My direct right ended up betting $100, and He has about 250 behind, 350 total. So I ended up, I think I could easily call on this spot, but I wanted to charge if he was somehow on a flush draw or something like that. I just wanted to fast play this. I didn't want to slow play it. So I ended up raising it up to $275. The person on my left folds. The early position player folds as well and action onto him. And he ends up jamming. I quickly make the call. River is a queen, offsuit queen, which is basically a brick. He shows Jack 8, and I show, and I win a fairly big one there, getting max value from him. I think sometimes I could potentially have gotten more value if I just called there and flatted that $100 bet, but at the end of the day, I want to just get all the money in. Wanted to play this fast, wanted to raise it up, so that's what I did, and ended up stacking them, which is pretty nice. The next hand here, I have about a stack of 1,000 in front of me, so I think I covered the majority of the table here, and I have Queen Jack offsuit in the cutoff. Early position raiser, the woman from last hand, she raised it up to 15. The next to act ends up making the call, and my direct right, who is a different player now, it's his very first hand, sitting down at the table. He seemed fairly inexperienced. I don't know, he bought in for the max of $500, and he just kind of plopped all the red chips down, so it seemed like he didn't know too much of what was going on. I don't know, that was my initial read on them, first impressions. He makes a very small 3-bet to $35. And actually, to me, I think a lot of the time I would fold this, but against that specific player, I would love to just get it mixed in with him, as he seemed fairly inexperienced. So opening it up there, so I make the call, kind of loosening up my range to the 3-bet, but it is what it is. And both early position players call as well, so we are 4 ways to the flop. The size of the pot is getting fairly bloated at this point, looking for a good flop, and that's exactly what we get. Flop comes Queen 8 Jack Rainbow, flopping top 2 pair, fairly connected board, so definitely gonna get into the mix of things here. The early position player checks. Woman ends up betting $35. This same woman, I don't know what she's doing. She's making super small bets. And my direct right, who was the 3-better pre-flop, he calls, and I'm gonna raise it up here significantly. I decided to raise it up to 115. But no, misclick. I don't know if misclicks can actually happen, but I ended up only raising up to $90, which is really unfortunate. I usually don't make those sizing mistakes, but it is what it is. I raised it up to $90. I wanted it to be 115. I want to make it a little bit bigger, but the woman who originally bet $35, she folds, and my direct right makes the call. So isolated, and we got it in. We're gonna get it in heads up with the guy on my right, which is pretty much the plan on a fairly good board. So we're heads up to the turn, which is a 7, which brings 2 diamonds on the board now. He checks, and I decide to size it up to 175. Although the 7 makes the board a little more coordinated, it really shouldn't change a whole lot to his range. I'm putting him on maybe aces or kings, especially if he calls, and which is exactly what he does. So he calls, and I'm putting him on the exact holdings of aces or kings. I don't think he has an open ender in his range a lot of the time. Maybe ace king sometimes with ace king suited diamonds, I guess, is the only hand that I could potentially see. But the river, I'm trying to just fade a bunch. I just would love a brick on this board, but unfortunately it's a king, and that is one of the worst cards I would like to see in my opinion. So he ends up leading out and jamming for $200 total. The pot has ballooned up to this point, and I'm getting a fairly good price to call with 2 pair. I really was just, I made a crying call. I tanked and made the crying call, hoping he had aces, just a 1 pair hand, and that's exactly what he has. He jammed with ace king somehow. So that was very nice to scoop up a monster pot there. His first hand, I stacked him for the max 500, the max buy-in, which is pretty sweet. Made the call just because I thought I was priced in. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I was priced in to make that call. He could have kings sometimes there, but there's also a lot of hands like, I guess, ace king that I beat, or aces. So I'm happy to scoop that one up, and we'll move on to the next hand. Here we are later on in the session. I'm in middle position with queen 7 of hearts. I think at this point I have around 1600 in my stack, so now I definitely cover everyone on the table. I'm just running things up after that last hand we went over. So in middle position, I limp. My direct left, Jamie, limps, and the button limps as well. Then the small blind makes it $15, and all three of us make the call. This definitely was very loose on my part, calling the $15, but we're suited and hoping for a decent flop. Flop comes queen 9-4 with 2 diamonds and 1 heart. So flopping top pair with a backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. So it checks to me. So with top pair here, I'm gonna bet out $50. My direct left, Jamie, he ends up folding, and only the small blind calls. And this small blind, once again, is a woman that we've been involved with many times. So she's been playing fairly loose and just getting involved a lot of times. So her range could be fairly wide here in this spot. So you can call him with a number of different things. But the turn is a pretty good card for us. It's an 8 of hearts. So we're going to have a bunch of possibilities. She checks to me, and I'm going to size it up to $85. And then she ends up raising to $175. And at this point, it's a weird play. I don't know what she could be having. I don't know if that 8 helps her or not at all, but it definitely helped me for only $90 more to call. Basically made a min raise, which is weird. She seems strong, so there's really not much for me to do but just continue and just make the call in this spot after she check raises and just, kind of play the river as cautiously as possible. So we make the call, and the river ends up being the 7 of diamonds. So it's a really weird card, especially when the initial diamond draw gets there, but I river 2 pair, and she ends up leading out and jamming for 170 total. I think a lot of the times I should be able to find a fold against, I guess, literally almost all the time, even though I have 2 pair. On a super connected board, a super connected board, Jack 10 was obviously got there on the turn. I think that's what she could have a lot of the time. The flush draws get there, but she raised on the turn, so I'm assuming... I'm thinking she either has the flush or a 1 pair hand, like ace queen or king queen, something like that. So at the end of the day, I ended up making the call, very loose call to say the least, and she flipped over pocket 8s, so that was pretty wild. That 8 helped her out a ton there, so we lose that one. Jamie ended up, shout out to him, he ended up folding Jack 10. So he could have won a monster pot, but unfortunately he was out of there. He was open-ended on the flop and could have spiked the 8, which would have been the gin card for her and him. But he was out of there. But I made a very loose call for 170. I was a big stacked, and I think that kind of got to my head. I was running super well, and maybe I'll continue running well. I don't know. Regardless, it was a bad play, but that's how that hand ended up happening. This next hand is very, very interesting. I am under the gun with 5-6 of spades. I'm once again a pretty big stack. I think I have like 1,300 in front. So I open it up to $12, just increasing the size of the pot and just using my stack size to my advantage. Early position player, the button, and the big blind call. So we are 4 ways to the flop. The flop is decent for our hand. It is 5-6-3 with 2 clubs on the board. So flopping top 2 pair on a board that really shouldn't ever connect with my range. So I ended up betting and leading out for $20, and only the big blind calls. So he check called me, so I'm assuming he's going to be on the flush draw 9 times out of 10. A lot of the time, especially when I have, top 2 pair in this spot. And the turn is not ideal. It's a 7 of clubs. So he leads out, checks to me, and I'll happily check it back. Hoping to get to showdown when the flush draw gets there. And the river is such a weird card, and it's a great card. It's the 6 of clubs, so I'm hoping he has like the ace of clubs in this spot. I bowed up. Any club has a flush now, which is unreal. He ends up leading out for $10, which is pretty weird. He's fairly small stacked. He has about like $150. behind or in total. So I'm trying to get max value, seeing what sizing I could raise up to get the max value here. So I end up betting $10. I raised to $40 with my boat. He looks at his cards, thinks for a little bit, and ends up jamming. I make the snap call, and to my surprise, we're beat by 8-9 of clubs for a straight flush. That six of clubs was just the gin card to just get all the money in there, which is crazy. I was happy, honestly, just to see that happen. I took a picture of it, which is great. I don't think the picture really shows a whole lot because you're not really allowed to film in MGM Springfield, but that was a pretty wild situation. Got a good laugh out of that because, one, I'm a big stack and I only lost essentially the minimum because you didn't have a whole lot behind. But that was kind of wild. So close to a bad beat, winning a bad beat jackpot there. You needed quads over quads, and I was just 1-6. If I only had pocket sixes, man, could have been really rich. But that was a pretty cool spot. I lost the max. It's okay. I've never had that happen to me, like a legitimate cooler or like the gin card that has both of us just get all the money in. So I'm just happy he didn't have more. Here, the last significant hand we'll go over here. We have Ace Jack of Spades in the big blind. We have two limpers to the button, who makes it $17. He was a viewer actually, so shout out to you, Ash. It was nice playing with you, especially this hand. And actually not to me, I ended up 3-betting to $55 out of position with a fairly strong hand, just trying to isolate and increase the size of the pot. And fold back to him, Ash, who makes the call. Wanted to make the vlog, so here we are. And the flop comes Jack 8-8, 2 hearts and a spade there. So flopping top pair, top kicker, and a backdoor spades draw. So I'll lead out for $75, sizing it up here. And he quickly makes the call, just a snap insta call by him. So I'm a little worried that he might have an 8 in this spot. The turn is a queen, so another overcard to our pair, which isn't the most ideal card for our exact holding here. But so I'll end up checking. He checks it behind. And the river is a deuce of hearts, so an absolute knock brick, actually. It actually completed the flush draw there. But I wouldn't put him on the flush draw a lot of the time. So I ended up leading out for $105. He ends up tanking or thinks for a little bit, says it smells like ace king, and makes the call. And I show over my ace jack, and that's higher than his king jack. So I scoop up that one there. Just cashed out, and we are just cashed out. Was in for 500 and went out for 1055. A lot of those hands that I went over earlier happened in the beginning of the session, so I was kind of card dead, got into some spots, nothing too significant there, but chipped down a little bit towards the end of the session. And hey, it's Super Bowl time. Let's go, Pats. Gonna pick up some wings, go back to my house, get drunk. Let's do it. Also, all the people who watched or played with me today in this session, Ash, Jamie, a couple other people who knew that I make videos now. It was nice playing with you guys, and yeah, let's go. Let's go, Pats. Let's go, Pats. That's all that matters. Also, just wanted to throw it out there. If you're still watching this video, please leave a like. You've already seen all the hands, and you're going to watch what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. Sounds like I'm doing something right, maybe, or you at least enjoyed the video. So I really would appreciate if you hit that thumbs up button. Really, that would make my day, besides having the Pats win the Super Bowl. So let's get going.
116 to go, 41 yards. Cardona.
Let's go!
Let's go!
That was too much juice.
Seldom happens.
No!
That was a fake!